Hi, my name is Sonia. I'm a tutor at South Seas. Today I'm going to be talking through one of the programs that we use a lot at South Seas, which is Resolve. And I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to do day for night color grading. Predominantly at South Seas, we use Avid for editing, but we do use Resolve for a lot of workflow, but also industry standard software. So we use that for color grading. This particular shot that I've got in front of me, it's from a storyboard, a bit of a mood board that one of the students provided as far as inspiration for because they're about to launch into their term 4 shoots. And given timeframes, given the amounts of hours they're allowed to shoot each day, and given daylight saving times, one of the things that comes up a lot in discussion is how do we go about shooting day for night? This particular shot, it hasn't been shot intentionally for day for night. It does a lot of things correctly for what you're trying to do for day for night, but there is a couple of things here that don't work so well. So I've used this specifically so I can highlight those things as suggestions for what could be done better and how to go about lighting these so that we can then grade it to do a day for night correctly. So I'm just going to show you quickly. So this is going to be our end shot. So I'm going to go through each of the processes that I've done in order to create this, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what it is it's going to look like at the end. But this is our starting point. Essentially what you're trying to do with day for night is you're trying to make the sun turn into the moon. One of the things that most people sort of go, oh, day for night, yeah, we'll just make everything blue. Right, that's not going to work. It's not going to give you anywhere near the sort of look that you're wanting, and it's not quite so simple. Okay, so I'm going to step you through the processes that we're going to need to go through. So first off, if you think about wandering around your house at night time, one of the main things that what you've got is a bunch of contrast, but you've got very, very little color. Okay, so one of the first things I'm going to do here is I'm going to desaturate that. So especially things like this red couch here, okay, and pinks, things like that, you just don't see those colors at nighttime. Okay, so I'm going to dial that down to around about 20. Okay, so that's going to start giving me shades of light and dark, which is what I want. I want contrast, okay, but I don't want any massive bursts of color. Then I'm going to add another node, and I'm going to go over here to our the number 2 tab over here, which gives us our color temperature. Now I am going to wind it all the way. That's the amount of blue that's going to give me. It's not quite as much as what I want, and so in addition to that, I'm going to help the midtones a little bit here. I'm going to kick some more blue into those midtones, tiny little bit into the highlights, but I don't want to go anywhere near the blacks. Okay, I don't want my blacks turning into navy blue. I want them to be staying black. Okay, which is why I've used a color temperature, because that does a really, really good job of giving a cool feel to our shot. Okay, so starting to look cooler, but it's still not looking like nighttime. So what we're going to do here is, and one of the nice things that they've done with this particular shot is is the haze, and the light coming through the haze and into the dust particles that are in that room. It's giving us a lovely kind of a beam of light to work with, because the moonlight is very kind of, it's more like a pin light than quite a diffused light. So we're going to work with this particular shape in order to help expose that room correctly. Okay, so again, I'm going to add another node. I do like to, with the way I work, each time I'm doing something different, I like to add a new node, because I find that allows me to toggle on and toggle off what I've done as I'm building my grade. If I've got all these sorts of things on the one node, if I then turn that on and off, well then I've got three nodes, so 3 things that I've done all disappearing at the same time. So this gives me a lot more control over viewing my work. Okay, so we're going to be working with this shape here. So with our beams of light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a shape, and I'm roughly following where these beams of light are coming from. Okay, so once I've made my shape, I can adjust it a little bit. Okay, and then I can soften that edges because we don't want a big nasty hard edge. And I'm going to then invert that. Okay, so this particular area here, I'm now going to start making that darker. Okay, because at night time, that's what it would be like. All right, so with our moonlight coming in the window, it's not going to fill as much of the room as sunlight coming in the window. Okay, so I'm just going to toggle that on and off. Okay, now at the moment, I think I'm going to add a little bit more softness to that because I'm finding that a little bit too much of a harsh light. Okay, rightio. So now we're starting to get somewhere here and creating a little bit more of a believable nighttime scenario. Overall though, we still got our highlights here a little bit up too high. So in our first node here, at the moment, where I've just at the moment got some desaturation, I am going to pull down those highlights and a little bit of the midtones just to make those exposures a little bit more believable for nighttime. I'm going to add another node here. Okay, and this time I'm going to go and add an outside node. Now what that does is essentially it takes the shape that I've made here, flips it, and therefore what I do now is going to affect the inside of the shape from last time. Okay, so just to highlight that, if I go crazy like that for a second, okay, just to show you that this is the area that we are now working with. Now what I want to do here, just because I added quite a bit of blue before, I just want to, in this particular area here, kick back towards the warmer side of things, just to bring that area in the middle there to a little bit more of a neutral area, rather than it being quite so blue. And what that's going to do is, again, it's going to help isolate that from the rest of the shot. Again, this is subtle little changes that we're doing here, but it's just making this area here our focus. So this shot hasn't been purposely done for a day for night. It's a mood board still image, and one of the things that it doesn't do so well is illuminate that back wall that is opposite this building. Now, obviously, if you were seeing street lamps, if you were seeing, down the street, if you were seeing shops, if you were seeing lights or anything like that that should be on at nighttime, that's going to be a complete and utter giveaway. And in which case you could not shoot in this particular angle out that window. And what would be nice too is if possibly you had your camera set up over here, and so you're shooting across the room that way, therefore you're not looking quite so harshly outside the window, but you're still going to get these lovely rays from that light coming through the window through the dust particles, and you're still going to get some really nice silhouette action with our main character here, but you're not going to get this wall. Okay, so but and also too, if this was an actual situation, this particular blind, pull that one down. Okay, so we just got that single light source coming through the window. But what I'm going to do is trying to help out here the fact that I can see this wall, and I want to hide that a little bit more than if I can. Okay, so I'm going to add another node, and this time I'm going to add another shape around our window. Okay, and we're going to give some softness to that. And then we're going to drop the exposure down. Okay, now I don't want to go too far or it's going to look obvious. That's not too bad. Okay. All right. Navy blue is an area that will introduce a lot of noise into your shot. So in order to try and make sure that our blacks are black, I'm going to add another node here. Okay, and then I'm going to go over to our curves here. Luminance versus saturation is the one that I'm wanting to use. And I'm just going to eye pick some dark areas here so I can get a feel for where that is on my scope here. And I'm going to drag down to pull out the saturation out of our dark black areas. And again, I'm just going to toggle the scope on and off, and you can just see over here in that blue range that without our black levels are now coming back to being black, but it hasn't turned, you know, there's still a lot of blue within that shot. Okay, it still gives us the same kind of moody feel that is nighttime. It's not taking the color out of anything other than what is solidly black, just to make sure that we're reducing the amount of noise that's in our shot. The software that I'm using at the moment is DaVinci Resolve. It is a free version, the one that I'm using now specifically, so that I can show you that all of the things that we are doing here today are available. One of the main things, though, that you can't get in the free version is noise reduction. And so a lot of what I'm trying to do today is to reduce the amount of noise that's in our image anyway, because if I then add another node just to try and add some noise reduction, I'm going to get this thing that says that. Okay, and so it won't allow me to do that. Okay, so there we have it. Hopefully that's given you some tips on how you can go about creating some day for night. And I hope that you've found this useful. Thanks for watching. Bye.